Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, as the new school year begins, a major legal fight underway over a gender curriculum in a Maryland school district, where some books include information about sexuality being taught as early as kindergarten. Swamped, heavy rains turning the Nevada desert to mud, leaving tens of thousands stranded at a major festival. This as repair efforts are underway in Florida after Hurricane Idalia. Drug cartels and human traffickers invading Arizona. We're going to show you how one sheriff is taking bold action and waging war against these ruthless criminals. And a positive story. Faith and Family Day is back at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, where fans heard about what it means to be a Major League Christian.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
I want to begin this half hour with an important issue, especially as the school year begins. Education. Parents in Montgomery County, Maryland are challenging a ruling by a judge claiming that a school district stripped them of the right to opt their children out of a gender curriculum with storybooks they say run contrary to their religious beliefs. Those books include information about sexuality being taught as early as kindergarten. CBN News Washington correspondent Hillary Powell brings us the story.
We will not stop.
Standing united, parents of different faiths express one voice.
This diverse group of believers can restore parental notice and opt-outs from the books to ensure that parents have the final say in their children's education.
Holding signs that say, "Let parents parent," at a recent rally in Greenbelt, Maryland, parents wearing both hijabs and crosses say the Montgomery County Board of Education is unfairly removing parental notice and opt-outs for certain storybooks. At issue are books the school district introduced under a new inclusive curriculum for its pre-K to fifth grade students last fall. Parents say they feel as though the school district took away their ability to raise their children in a way that is consistent with their faith. They say they're asking a federal appeals court to restore parental preference. Parents say the books cover topics on gender transitioning and pronoun preferences for kids as young as pre-kindergarten. Though the parents say the books are inappropriate, a U.S. district court dismissed their request to let their kids opt out of classes where the books are read and discussed.
We feel that we have the right to instruct our kids specifically on issues of family life and sexuality. And we found that we've had to, systematically and consistently prove to people that religion is real.
The parents are appealing the preliminary ruling. In the decision, the district writes the plaintiffs don't prove that the storybooks are impermissible indoctrination. Instead of letting children leave during the book readings, parents say this school year they're forced to stay. One legal expert tells CBN's Faith Nation that the court battles involving education, parents' rights, and religious liberty will probably go all the way to the nation's highest court.
I think inevitably we are going to see the nexus end up at the Supreme Court, where public education and parental rights come together, specifically so within the notion of sexual orientation and gender identity, because we've seen so many conflicts of this type.
Parents are still echoing their resolve to not quit.
When schools are going and teaching matters that go to the core of a child's own self-understanding, who that child is when he or she looks in the mirror, that goes to the core of the parent-child relationship, and parents are the first teachers.
For CBN News Washington, I'm Hillary Powell.
Turning now to the impact of some powerful weather. Heavy rains turning the Nevada desert to mud, leaving tens of thousands stranded at the annual Burning Man Festival. Meanwhile, victims of Hurricane Idalia in the south are picking up the pieces after last week's destructive storm. CBN's Dale Hurd has this story.
This was the scene at Cape Cod this weekend as vacationers enjoyed some fine late summer weather. But out west, heavy rains and flooding have made a mess of weekend plans.
Oh my gosh, stop! What are you doing?
A bus rolled through waist-high water in Las Vegas, where monsoonal rains and storms led to flash flooding. In northwestern Nevada, flooding and mud from torrential rains have left tens of thousands of people stranded at the Burning Man Festival. Attendees are being advised to conserve food, water, and fuel.
They shut the water down. I'm walking around helping pull power cables out of the ground.
One person is reported dead. Music star Diplo posted this video to his social media account saying he and comedian Chris Rock walked 5 miles in the mud before being picked up by a fan. The nation's midsection is seeing temperatures into the 90s, and South Dakota and Minnesota could see triple digits as the heat moves east. Meanwhile, as we approach the peak of the hurricane season, tropical threats are brewing in the Atlantic, but none pose an immediate threat to the U.S. President Biden arrived in Florida Saturday, taking an aerial tour of some of the devastation left behind by Hurricane Idalia.
As I told your governor, if there's anything your state needs, I'm ready to mobilize that support. Your nation has your back, and we'll be with you until the job is done.
Biden did not tour the damage with Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, who said such a meeting could hinder disaster response efforts. Biden said DeSantis had been helpful.
He may have had other reasons, but he did help us plan this. He sat with FEMA and decided where we should go.
Operation Blessing is continuing its work in Florida, helping the victims of Idalia. Volunteers gathered at Christian Center Church in Homosassa for training and prayer.
Help her get through this horrible situation that she's been through, Lord.
Operation Blessing volunteers helped the Mandela family clean up the damage to their home and salvage possessions. 12-year-old Logan told us it has restored his faith in God.
If I could say anything to the volunteers, it'd be thank you so much. You guys are really a true blessing from God. Having Operation Blessing in the church here, it really boosted my faith. It really made me think that, yes, there is a God that's here to help us.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And you can learn more about Operation Blessing's relief work and how you can help by visiting ob.org. Now here's a look at some other important stories we're following for you at this hour beyond the headlines. The number of families crossing the southern border illegally hit an all-time high in August. That is according to preliminary data obtained by the Washington Post. The newspaper reporting the U.S. Border Patrol arrested at least 91,000 migrants who came across the border as part of a family group, far above the previous record of more than 84,000 in May of 2019. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are tied at 46% each in the latest poll on next year's presidential election. A Wall Street Journal poll finding voters overwhelmingly think Biden is too old to run again, and they give him low marks for his handling of the economy and other important issues. But Trump has his own negatives, with voters rating him less honest than Biden and saying his actions after the 2020 election were an illegal effort to stop Congress from declaring Biden the winner. A new Gallup poll analysis finds that non-believers heavily favor the Democratic Party. The analysis looked at Americans who call themselves religious nones, atheists, agnostics, or no religious identity. It showed 63% of nones identify as Democrats versus 26% of Republicans. Coming up, guns, drugs, and human beings. Cartels are trafficking everything across our border in a military-style invasion of our country. We're going to take you for a ride alongside the Arizona sheriff who is waging war against these ruthless criminals. We've got the story for you when we come back. In the scorching desert of southern Arizona, one area sheriff is waging a relentless war against drug cartels and human smugglers. Chuck Holton shows us how he is taking bold action to safeguard his community from this dangerous invasion.
It might be 70 miles north of the Mexico-Arizona border, but Pinal County feels like the front lines in the fentanyl crisis. For years, cartels have used this route to smuggle illicit cargo north across the Tohono O'odham Indian Reservation. Since 2017, Sheriff Mark Lamb has worked to stop it.
So if you look out this way, that area down there is going to be the reservation. A few miles, I think it's 4 or 5 miles, the reservation starts, and then that reservation goes all the way into Mexico. It crosses over the border. So on both sides, you have Mexico and the United States, but the reservation is on both sides. And so they'll push through the reservation. And a lot of times, members of that reservation will drive them up to the county line and drop them off. And Then what they do is they hike up to the I-8 or just on the other side to a place like where I'm going to show you now, and then they'll load out their vehicle and take off.
CBN rode along with Sheriff Lamb to see the scale of the problem.
So mind you, I could probably show you 100 of these spots. You can see all the residue from the people here. The water jugs, the clothes, the blankets. That orange twine is the remnants of a marijuana backpack. They use the burlap straps to put them to make a backpack, and then they'll use the twine to tie these two packs together.
This vast desert poses a major challenge for Lamb and his deputies to police it all.
This is a unique area. We actually have RIP crews that will come in these areas, and the RIP crews are other drug dealers, other criminals that will come and steal the product from these loads, that whether it's marijuana, the fentanyl, the pills. But lately what they've been stealing, and which has more value, is humans. So if they're trafficking a load of 10 people that are trying to come to America, the RIP crews can come and steal them and then go up and extort them for money, put them into the sex trade, make them work for them, do all that.
The result is measured in human suffering.
These poor people, when we find them, they're darn near dead just from exhaustion from what the cartels put them through.
I want to show you something. We're just out here on the edge of the Indian reservation, the Tohoto Reservation that goes all the way down to the U.S.-Mexican border. And there are these piles of clothing everywhere around this area because this is a drop-off point. These are not migrants. These are not people who are coming across looking for asylum. The reason I say that is because we have these shoes made of carpet, which mask their footprints and the sound of their walking. We have camouflage jackets out here. We have camouflage hats. Now, these are uniforms. These are the same hats. Here's 3 of them. They've obviously been purchased at the same place. It's the same kind of camouflage. There are several of these camouflage backpacks also out here. This is what you would expect from a military invasion. When people are wearing uniforms that are standardized, these are obviously being funded by the cartels, and instead of carrying weapons, what they're carrying into America is poison.
We're the front line. And frankly, they're far more equipped. If they decided to actually come over with guns and all their equipment, how much military weaponry can you buy with $13 billion a year? They are amassing armies, well-equipped armies in Mexico that are going to be very difficult to deal with.
Lamb believes the problem is as much the fault of the U.S. government as it is of the cartels. That's why this sheriff has decided to run for U.S. Senate in 2024.
This fight, the only way to get rid of these people is to vote them out or to impeach them. And so there is hope. The hope is that every 2 years we have elections. And this next election is a crucial election. Because if you don't like this stuff, if you don't want these people flown into America, we got to get somebody back in there that believes in border security, that's actually going to do it and protect our communities and, frankly, protect these people that are being taken advantage of by the cartels.
From Southern Arizona, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Still ahead, COVID shut down this Major League Baseball event for 4 years. Now it's back bigger and better than ever. Faith and Family Day has returned to Dodger Stadium. Future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw and his teammates speak about their faith. We're going to take you to Dodger Stadium where fans hear what it means to be a Major League Christian right after this. Los Angeles Dodgers legend Clayton Kershaw keeps rewriting the record book. The future Hall of Famer is now tied for the second most wins in franchise history. He and the rest of the Dodgers are coasting to their 10th division title in 11 years. CBN sports reporter Tom Buren recently joined Kershaw and some of his teammates at the Dodgers Faith and Family Night.
When I think about Jesus, the first word that comes to mind is hope. He's my hope. And this world, man, it can get crazy sometimes.
Within the revered baseball sanctuary of Dodger Stadium, a rare post-game Sunday cathedral emerges with a different pitch delivered by a future Hall of Famer.
What anchors you? What gives you hope past this world? For us, that's Jesus. Jesus is our eternal hope.
Clayton Kershaw, Dodger teammates, and manager Dave Roberts returned the Dodgers' Faith and Family event to engage devoted participants after a 4-year absence.
We've had it here for a long time. Once COVID hit, we kind of forgot about it. And with everything that's gone on this year, as a team, it just kind of felt like the best way to show what I stand for and what some of our teammates stand for is we believe in Jesus and we get to talk about it. And we've got a cool platform to be able to bring fans out and hear it.
When you're managing an organization with different beliefs, it's a tricky, slippery slope trying to respect everyone's faith and their values. But in this context, we have the opportunity to speak openly and candidly.
Except we're not pastors. You know, we're not great at talking about Jesus in a public way. But what we do want to mention is that we're baseball players that love Jesus.
The team, the organization, you have been a part of the Faith and Family Nights before. Dave, why was it important to bring it back?
You know, I think I've been a part of it as a player, as a coach, and as a manager. I think for us, it was important because this world of inclusivity, I think is important in all fronts. But I also believe that, you know, sometimes we get overly criticized because of our Christian beliefs. Our voices need to be heard, too. So I'm very proud to be a part of this.
You know, this is just an important day. We wanted to bring it back to Dodger Stadium. It's been a while since we've had it, and what a turnout we've had. This is incredible. I don't think any of us expected this many people to show up.
And more than just messaging, embracing a genuine Christ-following life is urged.
How do we love with his unconditional love, Dave, in the face of adversity, in the face of opposition, or in the face of disagreement?
I think that's what it is. I think it's love. I was raised to treat everyone with love and respect, and you know, we're not all going to have the same beliefs, but I do trust in my belief and my faith, and I think at the core of it, to pray for people to love everyone, even if we don't always agree with how we live our lives. But I think, you know, my job as a Christian is to continue to treat people with love.
You know, that's the unique challenge of the world we live in, and I feel like we've been given that challenge by our Lord. And it's, in a way, there's all this different combativeness coming from different angles and different viewpoints, but I feel like it's a challenge to each other to continue to encourage to love each other as one's brother.
We're called as disciples of Jesus to show how he lived his life and try to be the best disciple we can for him. Because I think some people get the wrong message about what Jesus is. It's this exclusive group that judges everybody, and that's not true at all. It's a choice to follow Jesus, and in that way it is exclusive. But at the end of the day, the way people follow Jesus is to love everyone well.
Well, I think the most important thing is for us to put ourselves out there amongst other people, show them what it means to truly be a Christian, and not criticize other people, and not to say that they're doing things wrong, but to show them that when you're a Christian, this is what can happen, and show what it really, really means to love Jesus.
After you hit home runs, you'll acknowledge him. You'll head to the dugout. You've got fans there, but now you've got them not just as Dodger fans, you've got them as brothers and sisters. Does that give you and the guys a sense of strength?
I think it always does. It's, you know, it's a family. It's a family, and you know, we're all here on this earth for a purpose, and you know, that's to glorify Jesus, glorify God, and to get to do it on this field, I think it's a very special thing.
Do you find 2023 Christianity is growing more intense, requiring more?
There's a little bit more of a culture war these days, and there's a lot more people with more opinions with social media about different things. And what I don't like is that Christianity gets bled into the politics or gets bled into society or culture, and that's not what it is at all. You know, Jesus is following Jesus, and that's all it is. If anything, it gives you a chance to be a little bold about your faith because it's just not understood.
How would people pray for you?
You know what? I really appreciate that, and I think prayer for me is important, and the prayer for me, calmness, stillness, clarity, and remain true to who I am. And at the core of who I am is my faith. I manage the Dodgers. That's my job. It's not who I am. To not have Jesus Christ to fall back and lean on, I just wouldn't, I just don't think I would survive this.
And coming up, some good news from Latin America. Teenagers throughout the region are committing to Christianity as evangelical Christianity is growing throughout the region. We're going to bring you that story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Thousands of teenagers in Latin America are committing to Christianity, becoming engaged with the Bible and learning more about Jesus. Recent research by the Barna Group reveals Latin America is home to a, quote, connected, digitally enabled generation that is actively engaged with church and learning more about Jesus Christ. Young people in Brazil, Honduras, Mexico, and Colombia showed a heightened awareness of Christ and the Bible. According to The Economist magazine, evangelical Christianity is growing quickly in the region and could replace Catholicism by the year 2030. Time now for your Monday motivation. I'm going to leave you with this on this Labor Day holiday. Make time for work and for rest. Both are in God's plan for your day, and He calls for balance. You need both, work and rest, rest and work. In many ways, they fuel each other. With that word, I encourage you to make this a marvelous Monday. And be sure to have yourself a wonderful rest of the week with purpose and on purpose. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our news programs. You can find them on the CBN News channel. You can also find them online. That address is cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can do that by emailing us. The address is newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We certainly would love to hear from you. Hope you make this a marvelous Monday and join us right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye. God bless. Thanks for watching.